Hello, everyone, and welcome to this first Google Hangout for geegeez. And I'm pleased to say I'm joined on the video by Ben Aitken, the author of Narrowing the Field. I've known Ben for right on 6 years now. I first met him in 2009. It was a very romantic occasion. We were both in beautiful Gay Paris and looking forward to see the stars strutting his stuff for the last time on the racecourse when he won that memorable Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. Ben told me that day about a book that he was writing, and this is that book. And it was something that I'd kind of heard about previously, but only really knew it in very loose concept terms. And I hope that Ben will share some more information about his approach later in this call. That's enough for me. Ben, hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me on this call. And as I say, it's the first time we've done this, so apologies to listeners and viewers if it's not quite as professional as the BBC, but we'll do our very best to add value and give you some things to think about for the upcoming National Hunt season. So the first question I'd like to ask you, Ben, since that fateful day, almost exactly 6 years ago, how you were going online at that time for the first time. Can you tell listeners how you've got on since then and what you've been up to?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's gone quite smoothly since that day in Paris. I have to point out at this point that it was romantic because I was with my wife, not because I was meeting you. But that's another story. Yeah, so at that time I was just setting up Narrowing the Field, the blog, and that was to help promote the book, which essentially was introducing people to my methods and specifically the dosage method. From that blog, and as it continued to grow, I ran a Cheltenham service for that season. The success of that prompted me to do an entry service for the following month. From those two services, and also the growing interest in the blog, there was a demand for a full seasonal service. So that kicked in following national season, which would have been 2010-11, if I'm correct, if my memory serves me right. So that obviously required a website more than just a blog. So I moved from Narrowing the Field the blog to Narrowing the Field the website. As that progressed, I started employing the same sort of methods on the flat. That's during the summer, clearly. But as time kind of went on, I sort of modified the flat methods a bit. I decided to split the two services. So from that came a summer website called Badly Drawn Horse, which primarily concentrates on horses that are, surprise, badly drawn.
Yeah, some geegeez readers might be familiar with that actually, because you did syndicate some of your badly drawn horse content onto geegeez. It's really interesting stuff, and a great concept as well, following horses that have run well from poor draws previously. So yes, some geegeezers may be aware of that work already.
That's true. There should be some of your followers that would be familiar with the BDH methods. So obviously during all this time, NTF continued to grow, and I'm quite happy to report that I've got quite a strong core of regular subscribers on the service. A large number of them have actually been on for a good few years. Quite a few have been on from the start, which is great. Obviously, that's created quite a responsive and friendly atmosphere in the members area. So yeah, it's since that fateful day in Paris, as you call it, yeah, it's been enjoyable. It's been an experience, and it's a joy to do it. So
great. And as listeners will be able to hear, you've got quite a strong Scottish accent, but you're not north of the border anymore, are you? You've moved not south not as far south as me, but you've moved further south than where you were. Where did you start, and where are you now?
It's south for me, but I initially started in northeast Scotland, moved to Aberdeen. I started NTF when I moved to Fife in Kirkcaldy, which is just north of Edinburgh, and actually was not far from Lucinda Russell Yard. From there, my wife's work took her down to Yorkshire, so obviously I trailed along with her. So I am now in Yorkshire in a place called Burstall. It's just south of Leeds and Bradford. So I am now a Yorkshire lad of sorts.
You wouldn't know it from the accent.
No, I've left my flat cap off as well. So.
And you've got greyhounds, not whippets.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, I have three of the hairy, lazy dogs. So,
a
yes.
plastic Yorkshireman.
yeah. I came fully prepared.
Okay, let's move on. Can you tell people a bit about your particular approach to national hunt racing and betting on it, because it's a bit different from the norm, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. My focus would be the big races. So it would be the graded races and certainly the major handicaps, which naturally takes in the major festivals like Cheltenham, Aintree, etc. So to analyse those races, I'd be using a blend of my own race trends, which most people should be familiar with, sort of race trends, certainly if they're geegeez followers. And I also use, as you probably guess from the book, the dosage method, which in simple terms it's a pedigree analysis tool that I would say is pretty much ignored in this country. I'm not aware of too many other people that use it. So I combine both the methods, the race trends and the dosage method, if I could say it. That creates a sort of solid shortlist once I've taken all that into consideration. And from that shortlist, I look for patterns, individual stats, trends for the individual horses on the shortlist, and see which of them hold the best chance for whatever race in question I'm analysing. Okay. That would be my main sort of focus for my own betting. But I also concentrate a lot of time on handicaps, and specifically handicap chases, looking for well handicapped horses, so that whether they're lightly race ones on the way up, or indeed sort of older horses that are slightly on the way back down. And I would compile quite in-depth profiles on those horses, highlighting their ideal conditions, or certainly what I think are their ideal conditions. So conditions where they're likely to perform to their optimum. That would be my two main angles of attack. And I guess I would also say I use mini angles and microsystems, quite a large quantity of them that I work off. They would be as my basis to start my analysis on the day-to-day races, or with the bigger races.
Sure. Okay. Can I pick up on a couple of things there? So the first thing you said was that you're dealing with the main festival races. So you'd be looking at probably a lot of racing on Saturdays and weekends, and obviously the big winter festivals and spring festivals, Aintree, Cheltenham, the Christmas Kempton meeting, Welsh National, Charlie Hall, Betfair Chase, and so on. Those kind of races. Is that right?
Yeah, that'd be correct. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's good, because I think a lot of services focus, quite rightly, where their strengths are, and their strengths may be in the more mundane day-to-day racing, and looking at the better stuff. It's probably the racing that we're all a bit more interested in. And sure, we all like to have a winning bet, and to some degree we don't care whether that's a Class 6 claimer at Southwell or a Grade 1 at Cheltenham. But I think we're all a bit more engaged in the good stuff, aren't we? So that's great. The other thing that I just wanted to, you mentioned it and then moved on quite quickly, and I'm conscious that we wouldn't want to put people to sleep, but could you go into just a little bit more detail around what dosage is and what it tries to do, and why it's maybe more effective for national hunt racing than flat racing?
I wouldn't say it's more effective for national hunt than the flat. I think it's effective in both. Okay. But what I will do, and what I'm going to do, I will read a very, very small excerpt from my book, because in those 6 years I've not found any better way of explaining the method. I did work hard on that book to make sure it was simple enough for, as I say, my wife to understand. So,
no offence intended.
No offence to Cynthia in the slightest, and I know she does kind of take offence to that, but it sounds better in my head when I say that. Anyway, this is to briefly sum up dosage, a little small paragraph from my book was, it's my belief that some thoroughbred racehorses are simply not built to win certain races. No matter what else may be in their favour, if they do not have the genetic makeup required for the rigours of a particular race, they will struggle to succeed at the top level. So that's a sort of right now. But then if you want to know what the dosage method is, if I can find it, it's not stuck in my head, this little paragraph. So.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's around profiles and indexes, isn't it?
I do have this probably explain about it. In basic terms, dosage ratings are numerical figures which indicate the probable speed or stamina capabilities of a horse based on the appearance of influential sires in its bloodline.
Yeah.
So
okay. Yeah. Fine.
That's
fine.
it. I do have a guide if people want that. It is actually very easy to understand.
Yeah, it is, and there will be a subset of listeners who will be interested in that, and I personally find dosage a really interesting approach. Not, I wouldn't take the detailed, immersive approach that Ben does, but I think there's a lot in there, and as he says, it's really quite surprising when you look at some horses that can be very short in markets for races that on genealogy they can't really win.
Yeah.
And conversely, there's some real value lurking down the markets with horses that are maybe bred for a job that they're stepping up to today, and that they can reveal more, and there's a suggestion that they might be able to do that from the dosage data. So I think it's a really interesting angle, and as you say, Ben, kind of combining that with the trends information and your own knowledge of the form book is a pretty powerful collaboration. So and obviously Narrowing the Field is now in its 6th year online. Would that be right?
I think it's 6 years of service. I think it's possibly technically it's 7 year, unless I'm miscounting. And you seem to lose track of time during these past few years. But yeah, it's definitely been 6. The book was 2009-10, and that's when the free blog started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, there aren't many people. There aren't many of us who have been around that long and are still around. So that's testament to the approach as well. Actually, that kind of leads us on quite nicely to the service that you're running for the 7th, we think, year this year. Narrowing the Field.
Probably correct that, I think, but
it doesn't matter. It's
6 or 7.
Yeah, something in that order. Can you tell people a bit about what's involved in the service and what they'll get out of it, and what it will do for them? That'd be interesting, I think.
Yeah. I certainly would say NTF, as it has been lovingly shortened to over the years. It's a race analysis service rather than a tipster service. So, in-depthly analyses roughly 140 of the major national hunt races. It's probably a little bit more, actually. Obviously, some drop out every season, a couple come in, but it's around about 140. And I think, as I've already alluded to, I'm kind of looking at it from a sort of different angle than the mainstream. I create race guides for those races, and they break down each contest into race trends, into dosage trends, and then they're pulled together at the end to create a short list. How can that help people? Well, I guess for starters, I'm doing all that hard work, all the sort of lifting, shifting, for a better term, all the trends, all the stats side of things. And I know from experience, a lot of people do love looking at the races in that way, but they just simply don't have the time to do it properly. It's a busy world out there. I know. I'm sure we can both agree on that. So I do that all for them. It's all there in easily readable format. Those race guides, I say, which include the race trends, and they're providing that sort of different angle in. That they're set out in a way that, if you want to, you can read it quite in-depthly. There's detailed breakdowns on the different sections, the race trends, dosage trends, but there's also pace analysis for every single race. So that's good for people who want the nitty-gritty of it. But at the same time, the guide's been set out so that if you don't have the time, then you do get an instant snapshot of the race. And you don't have to spend half an hour studying it. You can quite literally look at it, skim the knowledge you want, and get it, as I say, in a snapshot.
Yeah, and one of the things with the guide layout is that, or the race profiles layout, is that you, for each runner in the race, you say how many of the trends they fit out of the total. I think you use a ticks as well for the dosage. I'm doing this from memory now, so I may have that wrong.
I split it into 4 groups. I split in a group that are ideally suited to the race, ones that you can't really rely on, ones that are not really suited to the race, and ones that are really not suited to the race. So it's a traffic light system with 4 colours. I'm not sure how you'd explain that, but
no, that's fine. I think you've explained it very well.
Yeah. So yeah,
I like that.
Red. Yeah. So
yeah.
I may have just created that there. This traffic light system with 4 colours. Yeah.
It could catch on.
Yeah, it might do.
Okay, so those are the main race guides.
Yeah.
Do people get anything else with the service? I mean, that 140 races is already going to be, quite a lot of involvement. That's especially covering all the good racing as well. But I think you've got more to offer subscribers, haven't you?
I do. Yeah. Every Monday, and it's already started, obviously, because the season's now sort of kicked in. I do weekend notes, which is, I guess, quite self-explanatory. I look back at the big races or all the meetings from the weekend, and I cherry pick the horses that have interested me in some way. They don't need to have run well; they could have run poorly. But if I can find a reason for them running poorly, then I'll highlight that and tell them where we think we could benefit from following in the future. So it's basically weekend notes. They're covering the major points, and they're highlighting numerous horses with notes, trends, stats, pointers, profiles. I guess looking for help in the future assessment of those horses, sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that might be of interest to people who maybe are putting an anti-post portfolio together for one of the spring festivals, or it might be just a horse that you think there's another upcoming race, kind of a lower profile than the festival meetings, but that the horse has shaped promisingly towards.
Yeah, but they could be used in short term, or they could be used in very long term, because I often look at bumper and hurdlers who could be future chasers. But I also look at a novice chaser who I think could do well in handicaps in a couple of weeks. It's there's no set to what I'm covering. It's literally my own personal notes provided for NTF members. It's the notes that I personally work off from my own betting. So
great. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So they're going to get the 140 race profiles.
Yep.
I don't know how many weeks there. When do you consider the end of the National Hunt season to be?
I actually consider the end to be Swinton Hurdle at Haydock.
Right. So is that early May?
It is early May. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be further into the calendar year than a lot of people like. Some people talk about the Grand National, some talk about the Bet365 meeting, some the Punchestown Festival. That's the first time I think I've heard the Swinton Hurdle at Haydock being there. It's a good race, isn't it, for trends?
I love it. It's a race I love, and it actually works really well for trends and dosage. I think from memory, I think it's a very strong dosage race. It's certainly a very strong trends race, and as I said, it's always well contested, so you're getting good prices, and there's always a chance for you to pick out a value sort of option in it.
So where are we now? We're just past the middle of October, so we've got November, December, January, February, March, April, and a bit of October and a bit of May. So we're looking at kind of 7 months provision. So you've got the weekend notes as well. So it's going to be sort of 28 or 30 weekend notes as well.
Yeah, it will be. It's pretty much every Monday. I can't there be no reason for there not to be every Monday, unless for some reason, obviously, heaven forbid, we get a terrible winter and the racing's cancelled. But I don't think that's, you can't trust the weather judges these days. So let's hope for a good winter. But yeah, every Monday, because every weekend I'm updating my own notes, and then my members get them as well.
Great. Okay. You talked earlier about you like to pick out handicappers on the way up who may be better than their revised mark, or more interestingly, perhaps on the way down, who may be close to ready to win. Would that form part of the weekend notes, or is that separate, or is that nothing to do with this service? That's just your own approach.
No, it is something to do with the service as well. It would naturally, or they would fall into weekend notes, but I then also have another part of the service which is all included in the subscription. It's called the UTR squad, which is the under the radar squad, which you can probably guess again. It looks at horses that I think have been sort of missed by the wider betting public. And what I do there is we create a UTR squad, which has its own page in the members area. When I add them to the squad, I give detailed analysis of why he's been added to the squad, and I pinpoint the conditions each runner excels under. So for ones on the way up, you're taking a slight guess at the condition they excel under, but the older ones that are on the way down, you would be quite confident, well, I would be quite confident that I've nailed their profile and where they are going to strike in the future. So that's been quite a popular addition to the service. That's been the last 2 years.
And have you had any notable successes with that? I mean, I love the approach. It's something that I use similarly myself. So yes, how's that worked out for you and subscribers?
I think the best two, or the most notable two, would be Mountainous in the 2013 Welsh National. Yeah, 2013 Welsh National. That was a big one for us. He was a UTR squad member, and last season we had Just a Par was a UTR squad member, and he's actually a good example because I added that in December, January time, I think, and then he kept running, but he didn't meet the parameters I'd set from him, and he kept running, and I kept saying, well, I don't think it should be a bet. I don't think it should be a bet. Then it came to Bet 36 Gold Cup Day, Bet 365 Gold Cup Day, and he was a bet, and the rest is history, as they say. Sean Gordon gave him a fantastic ride, and I think he was available at 20s in the morning.
Yeah, this is the key. Come on, don't hide your light under a bushel. You've got to tell people what prices these horses were.
I'm pretty sure he was available at 20s. He went off at 16s. It was all a bit of a blur because I remember shouting, swearing down the Sandown home straight. And then had a few drinks that night. And the price is now irrelevant because it was
yeah.
No, it was more than the fact. I think.
And Mountainous was I backed that at 20s. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was Richard Lee's horse, wasn't it?
Correct. Yeah, that was a big price.
He's a good guy for the Welsh National. He
is. So it'll be his daughter now. She's taking
that's
over.
right. Yeah, he's handed over to his daughter, hasn't he? But I'm sure he will be, at least for the foreseeable, still heavily involved.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, great. So we've got 140 odd races profiled. Yep. We've got what did I make it? About 30 weeks worth of weekend notes.
Yeah.
We've got presumably an ad hoc cappers to follow list.
Yeah. It doesn't necessarily have to be handicappers, but I would say 90-95% of them will be handicappers. There may be the odd novice in there, but
all right.
handicappers.
That's a lot. That's a lot of content, and all of it's quite targeted, quite specific in terms of its utility. So it's really good. I obviously know the service well enough, and I think it's a great service. And I'm not just saying that. I genuinely think that the effort that you put into it is noteworthy, and the value that your subscribers get out of it is is a direct result of your labour and your shrewdness as well. Is there anything else in the package, or is that's plenty?
There's a couple bits. There is the odd anti-post analysis. I'd look ahead to probably just the main championship race at Cheltenham, possibly the National, possibly the King George. Definitely would do the championship race at Cheltenham. So they get a bit of anti-post coverage once we're sort of in the January period, December-January period. There's other ad hoc bits involved. There's stat attack guides for Cheltenham entry. They appear. I do a couple of Cheltenham stat attack guides, and I do the entry one. So yeah, there are little ad hoc bits here and there hooped on as well. So there's quite a lot going on.
Yeah, well, there's really a lot going on. There's like I say, I think it's a very comprehensive service, and all of it is deeply researched, which that's anyone who's seen it will vouch for that. Okay, so that's what you've got. It's available now, I think.
It is. Yep, there's no.
And if people are interested in having a look at that, how can they go about it?
Well, I'm hoping you have provided a link below this video, which I'll take you a page with a little bit more information. Just there will be race guides on that page if you want to see the actual. There'll be race guides from last season, obviously, and that'll give people a good view of how I look at the races and how they'll be receiving the races. So that I know talking's all good, but if some people may want to physically see the guides, they'll be on the sign up page. So you're not signing up without seeing what you'd be getting.
No, that's perfect actually, because as you say, it's all good us blethering on, but but if people want to get involved in it, it's great they can actually see the way you style it, the way you go through a race and do your analysis, and decide whether that's an approach that could work for them. So terrific. And of course there will be there is a link under this video.
As I say, so there's more information on the sign up page, and the race guides, I think, which are the main part of the service. There's examples on that.
And the price?
Price is, well, it's $157 for the full season. That includes all festivals. There's no extra sign up for Cheltenham for anything. Everything we've mentioned is included in that subscription price.
So you've got it's basically £1 a race for the race profiles.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And then you get 30 weekend notes editions. You get some horses to follow and the conditions under which to follow them, which have had some notable successes in recent seasons.
And I also email when those horses are due to run, so that you don't have to just get told the horses and when you follow them. We also that's brilliant, because there is nothing more annoying
than knowing that there's this horse that you want to back and forgetting to back it, and then getting the email saying, "Did you back it?"
I always the evening before racing there'll be a post, and I'll email people and I'll give them my opinion whether I'm backing or not. People may still go against me and say, "Well, I want to back it." That's entirely up to them. But
okay, well that's perfect, because that's like I say, I mean there are many things designed to frustrate and annoy punters of horses, but that's got to be right up there in the pantheon of irritants.
Definitely.
So brilliant stuff. Okay, this has been really interesting, Ben, and I hope listeners have found it interesting as well. Oh, one thing we should say, that you've got some free stuff as well, which if people want to get more of a feel for your modus operandi and the way you put stuff together, if I can provide a link under this video to that stuff as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I'd love people to sign up for that. Yeah, there's 4 free guides at the minute. Trainer angles. There's one looking ahead to the Cheltenham 2016. It'll be now Champions World Cup. Yeah, I know. Which I find quite interesting. That kind of might surprise some people where that analysis points. Yeah, there's a couple of trainer guys. There's that the champion analysis guy as well. So yeah, there's it'd be great if they want to sign up for that, and they also get race examples on there as well.
Excellent. Okay, that's brilliant. So almost as a reward for people watching this far through the video, there's something for everyone in the free content. If you want to sign up for NTF 2015-16, I heartily recommend it. I think it's, as I've said, I think it's a really well researched and very intuitively presented product. It's easy to get to grips with, even though there's quite a depth to the detail. And Ben is a top man who I've known for probably quite a lot of years now. Hairy Ben, as he's known to me.
Yes.
And for what should be obvious reasons. Yeah, I mean, definitely take a look at this. Ben, thank you very much for your time today. Best of luck with the NTF launch and for the season ahead. I'm sure it will be another fantastic year for you and your subscribers.
Fingers crossed. Yes, I'll be working my behind off to make sure it is. Definitely. Usual amount of hard work.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Ben. Speak to you soon.